I appreciate I actually appreciate the sentiment before. I'm glad that you enjoyed the ambiance of our tavern, Pekalins. Josh was coming to terms with what he would do if he ended up getting some superpowers, and I agree the nature of the powers would be a huge part of the decision. Um, and so let's take this inspiration, and we've talked about a lot of fluff concepts like storyline, and whatnot. We've dabbled into the crunch about resources, about making calls, making hard decisions, right? Because DM stands for decision maker, not just a dungeon master. And now you wanna bring this together, Technatron, and you also wanna
Yeah.
you wanna challenge chat a little bit. Am I correct?
Oh yeah. I on multiple things. Like, come on, guys, be more interactive. Throw some bits around. Stop being so lazy.
Hey, I appreciate the plug in that regard. Um, so what's the idea then? How do we start, and what do you want to challenge chat to think about or do besides donate
Well,
bits?
yeah. Shameless plugs always. The what I would say, what would be really fun is we now have the premise for like the story. We know that it's like this dragon head in a cart that was over there. We kind of have an understanding that players would walk up on it. It's a snowy like winter's day. I would say now let's make it more of a one shot. We know we have the MacGuffin that's the dragon's head. We need more of a monster or situation to get the players from point A to point B. So I would say using these things we can make them random or have random ideas, but how are we going to get said cleric, ranger, fighter, and rogue to take this back to a town or to investigate it a little bit more? Like, how do we make this a one shot?
All right, chat. You have your prompt. Whoop, I clicked out of it. You have your prompt. This is going to be the seed of the story, and our guest DM here has issued a conceptual challenge in how are we going to make a one shot. Now, of course, a one shot could be 2 hours. It could be 10 hours if you really want to marathon it. In general, though, if we want to make a one story session of some kind, we have a MacGuffin, we have our seed art, we have a ranger, a fighter, a rogue, and a cleric. Kind of a classic 4-person party here. How do you conceptualize the party, and how are we going to have this party go back to town and investigate it? Now we're Technatron. We're approaching this as if we're all dungeon masters, right? So we're all planning: are they going to get waylaid on the road, and if so, by goblins or bandits, or is a blizzard going to set in, or the like?
Oh yeah. The thing is that's totally up to them, and yeah, we're more in the dungeon master position. But I would also say, kind of what we were harking on before, if you were a player, would probably be the best place to look at this. What would you as a player want to see next?
Oh, all right. So, different side of the same coin.
Yeah.
As a player, yeah. So you could speak as a player. What would you like out of a concept like this? Very good call.
Here, and I'll throw a bone out there. How about something that people never touch, and let's put um vehicle proficiencies, whether it be a cart wailing down the side of a mountain pass, or pushing it into a river and turning it into a water vehicle. But making some sort of chase slash race is always a fun way to go. What level are the players? Let's go with level range from 1 to 5.
Josh says, if I were a player and I saw an abandoned cart with a dragon head in it, I would ask, who the hell is strong enough to take down a dragon? And who the hell is strong enough to take down the first guy? And I would run in the opposite direction. And Pekalins seems to agree with Josh's sentiment.
Okay, but the thing is you're also asking questions that could be answered. So maybe that's the case where we can really draw in the player. Who is the thing that's strong enough to take out this creature? Is there any explanation that we have laid down for that? So maybe because we're not trying to scare off the player by making them run in the opposite direction, but we're trying to intrigue them to move closer. So maybe that's where a familiar banner would be on the side of the cart or something like that.
Like an identifier, like, belongs to so-and-so kind of a thing?
Mm-hmm.
Ficer says, if I was a DM, I would make the head come alive and fight the party, and if the party subdues the head, then they get a new pet. Ooh. Just a straight-up combat. Yeah, level 1 to 5, could you take on the head of a dragon? Probably doesn't have its dragon breath. I mean, it'd be undead, it'd probably chomp and hurt, but, it's probably not too mobile. Could be a good sort of toned-down risk. And also, by the way, I noticed Technatron when Fi was talking about her submission of an idea. She just said subdue the head, not destroy it outright, or not everything has to be a battle of attrition.
No, it does not.
Certain Victory says there is an identifying sigil on the cart belonging to a guild that is its destination. Perhaps the players are able to identify it and wish to complete the delivery for the courier fee or some such based on player morals. Diadems is asking, is the head real? Is it really, or is it a really intricate fake? If it's real, where are the individuals who took down the dragon? Tesla says, I'm still thinking about the Chernobyl show, so I'd make the town guard arrest the party for bringing the head.
All fantastic things you can do. I wonder if it would be under animal handling or some sort of check to check if it's real or not. But I'm sure there's a few checks that you can do that would definitely make it stand out a little bit more. And you could have weird things happen, like it's still like chewing or thrashing even though it's beheaded, like some fish. So maybe you could say there's tire marks on the side, there's no horses, and it seems that this cart has just fallen off of its track.
Okay, so I've been typing out the ideas here, at least in summary. So you could have a one-shot that's fight to keep the head as a trophy. Complete delivery to a grateful. I should probably put a question mark, because who knows? With guilds, there's machinations that span lifetimes. Complete delivery to a grateful guild. Investigate the head to see if it's real. No problems really to deliver it, but so that the easy part is front-loaded. However, the party is then arrested when they enter town with the head. Maybe they're wanted for murdering a dragon, or the other party doesn't know what happened, but they said if anyone comes by with a dragon head, arrest them because they're bad guys or something. And that plants the seed of intrigue.
Well, and I would also say that's what I was talking about. Start with a bang, end with a twist. What better twist than getting arrested?
Yeah.
So I would say we can keep the end. We can keep the investigation of it. I would say we can actually explore if it's a real head or it's fake. See which one we want more. And then, well, obviously, now that we have to get from the middle to the end, what is going to be the driver? what is going to be the obstacle for them to get over. It could just be a thrashing dragon head that's still halfway alive. Or it could be whoever knocked it off of the track is now honing in and trying to take it over.
Pecklin said, when the party looks at the dragon head, goblins ambush them, and now you run Minds of Fandelver.
It's true. But like I said, that's not a bad way to go. If the cart now is a dragon's head, it becomes a lot more interesting on Phandalin needing a dragon head is a bit more intriguing.
In looking at the list here, each of these could be a one-shot itself, or I'm even noticing a pattern of just some segments that could be, small parts of a greater whole. Now, of course, I say a greater whole as in the context of a one-shot. So, I mean, what is a one-shot? It could be a 12-hour marathon session, but how about the head comes alive suddenly and uses a breath on the party? Party blacks out, wakes up, and they're in the starting scene of Skyrim. Yep. Well, I said that was kind of, it was a little off. It was a little off screen, but I was being a little cheeky with my interpretation.
Well, and we can also apply what we were talking about before, the therefore and but. There's a dragon head lost in the woods. Therefore, the players need to retrieve it and get it onto track. But if they do, the goblins, or I would probably say kobolds in this situation because dragons are trying to take it back. And then you can just keep on going from there. And really start weaving the arc of the story and where we need to go. And at any point, if we see one point like we were talking about with the animated head, well, we of course have to ask ourselves, why is it animated? Why would someone be there with it? And we can actually make a bit of an arc just with inside of what this head is.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of questions for it.
Yep. There could be a note lodged in the dragon's gullet, but I really doubt anyone would want to look for that.
Oh, that's actually, that touches on a really good thing. So, a lot of DMs get in the you kill reward situation. Actually a fun thing to do, and it actually makes the game a little bit more healthy, is the unseen, ungettable treasure.
Oh, you know, that's also good for dungeons, by the way. The one thing that they'll never find, but you include anyway.
Yeah, because there is that chance that they'll get it. And it's a reward for the player. So putting a note in its mouth is not a horrible idea at all. Because if a player goes and I investigate it, rolls an insane check, you can now give them a note that's inside of the mouth of the dragon. And it now rewards that roll.
So from the suggestions, I'm picking up, we have our party of 4. Oh, Peckalins, hey, thank you very much for the subscription. That means a lot to me. And by the way, for all of you who have subscribed or resubscribed, next Wednesday, I guess it's technically Thursday for me right now, and for some of you out there probably, Wednesday the 19th is when we have our box of miniature raffle. And the number of boxes I give away on stream that Wednesday is determined from the subscribers, because the subscribers, the money from the subscriptions go to purchase the boxes out of my inventory. And then I give them out and I ship them out for free to U.S. addresses. Thank you, Peckalins. And I hope to continue that trend. But hey, you know, I'm a businessman. If for some reason I don't, vote with your wallet and walk with your wallet, and let me know, as I'm here to, to entertain. I'm here to inspire. I'm here to give you a fun place and a good community to hang out and meet other people of similar mindset, and of course to learn myself, as the presence of the almighty Technatron is helping to enlighten even me. So what I'm seeing here, I'm sorry, real quick. We have kind of our standard 4-person party. They are, I don't know, even the broader context for the one shot. It's, hey, you're a bunch of low level adventurers. Just go from. We can even go back to the escort, and say, yeah, we need you to take this one NPC from this town to the next. Pretty simple, But watch out, there could be bandits in the woods, or there's strange stuff that happens. Good classic. You may never manifest it, but it provides the why, provides a purpose. They come across the head. They investigate the head. In investigating the head, possibly finding the super secret, the little the Easter egg, so to speak. The head comes alive, and there's a fight to try and subdue it. In the fight, the tongue wiggles free and goes missing. That creates a little bit of a mystery, but they have the head. They notice that the wagon needs to go to a guild in the town that they're going to anyway. It could even be related to the NPC, or the NPC is kind of a fifth member of the party, could possibly help fill in a gap in skill or something else, depending. After that, so let's see, we've done the tongue wiggles free, so we have that checked. The one shot to subdue it, investigate the head to see if it's real. As we continue, then we're gonna have a skill challenge to try and right the cart, and that can then get into what you said, to incorporate some kind of a race, or to avoid a catastrophe. So not only do we have a combat, we have an investigation, now we have a skill challenge. Man, we're hitting some solid content here. That could tap into a lot of strengths.
And here's one that I encourage, because if you're ever getting too serious in a game, one of the best things about nerds is we always be memeing.
Yes.
And so, a perfect way to get that cart moving is the rocks fall down.
Oh, okay. Rocks fall, and well, you don't want everyone to die, hopefully.
Well, no, but just that little nod saying the rocks fall down, you need to get away. Avalanche, essentially, is a good trigger for a race to get away. Indiana Jones-ish. There we go.
So then we're riding the cart. The pressure is on. A Nilbog is a goblin that's possessed by a spirit that makes them more intelligible, more I don't know if I'm presenting that correctly. They're discussed in 5th edition in Volo's Guide to Monsters, but a Nilbog is a kind of an advanced goblin that's possessed by a spirit. Age of Tesla is teasing me a little bit here. So we have a skill challenge to try and right the cart, especially before the avalanche comes. We're dashing away, trying to push it. Maybe we have gravity working, and that's where we can then get the race. Because now it's not a skill challenge against time. We have to try and stay ahead of the avalanche, which could include going off the road, what we found this in, and needing to actually use a blend of land and or water vehicle proficiencies to try and guide it over this, partially thawed stream. And then the stream can carry us, if we're successful, to town, so that we can complete the delivery to the Grateful Guild. The guild, at that point in time, takes possession of the wagon and the head. As far as we know, the wagon belonged to him, but did the head? The wagon could have been stolen property, reported stolen. The town guards are called, and the party is arrested for stealing a wagon And depending on if you want the guild to be shady or not, the property of the head, even if the head never belonged to them, but they're willing to take it because it's quite a prize. And in that case, and what a twist! Let's say that we were escorting a goblin or a nilbog, as Fi was talking about. What if the goblin ambush actually occurs? But because one of the representatives was also arrested with the party, the goblin ambush ends the session by freeing the party from the town jail along with their NPC. However, the party may now very well appear to be in cahoots with the goblins, let alone according to any of the guild accusations against them. And scene.
Yeah. and we can actually put in what that note belongs to, because that could tie into something of a deeper story arc of possession of the skull, or the head in this matter,
or a proof of innocence even.
Yeah. But we're missing out on one part, which
what's the part?
We're narrow, and we got the chase, we got this, but there's only going to be one person driving. They're steering around doing things, but there has to be something that they're shooting. There needs to be some target practice.
Okay. So beyond the brief skirmish with the partially animated head, you want to put in something?
If you're maybe some, like we were saying, like some sort of creature off that is trying to throw or disrail the cart, and yeah, it's up to the caster / range people to get into those throwing axes, to those eldritch blasts and everything else.
Oh, okay, to like clear the way, or to try and prevent maybe some boulders that are catching up from momentum or something. I
forget what those creatures are called. They're like they're little teeny rock golems.
Galebdurs.
Yeah. You have a couple of those getting in the way. Movable terrain.
I think we have a one-shot.
Mm-hmm.
What if the decapitated dragon is still alive and comes to reclaim its head?
Yeah.
What if Age of Tesla? Hey, you only signed up for a one-shot, but I guess we might have room at our table. You want to come back next time and see where this goes?
Yeah, there's a lot of explanations for... There's two-headed dragons, there's Tiamat, But the funny thing is when you get into two-headed dragons or three-headed dragons, those are not your average dragon. They're usually very legendary and demigod in some sort of way.
I can also posit, what if we all think this is a dragon head, but really it belongs to a similar creature like a hydra? Or just, something that would be like a pseudo dragon. But as far as everyone knows, it's a dragon, right? It's a big reptile head, of course. All dragons are like this, right? Yeah. Everyone can sense it's a dragon, but is it? Instead of a one-shot, make it a trailer for a bigger campaign. Hey, Physaris knows what you're getting at, Technatron.
Look, yeah, the thing is always leave them wanting more. It is never a bad way to go out.
As a DM and an entertainer, that's solid advice. Leave them, they want the encore, right? You want them to get their money's worth, or their equivalent anyway.
And I would say with all the elements that we have, like, you're hitting on a lot of checks that aren't happening a lot. You're kind of messing with environments. I would say doing a one-shot like this, just off of the premise that we're doing and the prep that we put in, you're getting a much more well-rounded game as well. So you're not going to get that person that, like, let's say, does 1,500 points of damage at level 4.
Yeah.
They're immediately in a completely different setting where they're not as effective, and who cares if they're just blowing up one cobalt on the side of the road while you're wailing down the side of it.
Yeah. And of course, as Fi was talking about, because we had already kind of discussed where can this go, and we know where it can go as a DM because we've answered the why. Because the whys are the questions the players will have. You know, is this now going to spark the regional political crisis? And is that crisis because of the dragon head and the humanoids, the presumed humanoids? Is that going to spark a crisis amongst the guilds, where now all of a sudden there's actually a competition amongst the guilds? Or, you know, Technatron, you mentioned that their kobolds could very well fit in here. Well, what if we were escorting a goblin, because the goblins actually have ties to this human village, and so that's why we're escorting a Nilbog.
Oh yeah.
What if the political crisis is by being in possession of this, the kobolds? So we have these two small lesser races that we may not, you know, ever consider to be powerful or influential in their own way. This actually sparks an underground, maybe not literally, well, partially anyway. This could spark an entire regional conflict between goblins and kobolds, which could also explore different morals or ethics. It could also show the impact that even such creatures have on an economy. Because what that might do, you know, initially people might say, oh, yeah, let them bleed out. You know, I don't care about them. They're nuisances. Well, now, if you thought they were nuisances before when they're living peacefully, what are they going to do if they're going to start a war between the two tribes over this trophy?
Oh,
and
yeah.
and now they're having to raid farms and get extra supplies, and all of a sudden, you know, you have this vast kind of unchecked, because who's going to do a census count of kobolds or goblins, even if they'd let them? Who's going to care normally? And now all of a sudden, coming out of the woodwork, coming out of the underground tunnels that no one really knew were there, hundreds, thousands of goblins, thousands of kobolds are fighting each other. And the humans, or the other humanoids, are caught in between. Their fields are getting plundered or razed. You know, their shops are getting pilfered. Supply wagons are not arriving. And this guild that left town, that was the spark. Now all of a sudden they have to try and find the head. Maybe they have the note to go on, maybe they don't. And that's its own adventure, but you have the time ticking down, because this is only going to boil over more and more and more until things get like super heated. And then of course there's the relationship between the goblins and the humans, because now the humans could be drug into it if they took possession of the head. I'm going like I'm mile a minute.
Yeah.
I'm just shooting out ideas.
Yeah.
Where could this go? How could this build?
Yeah, and you can go into Goblin Kings and their structures uniting just to take on this one dragon head, because it's so important to them. Not to mention, you have the looming doom of just a dragon head and an uncontrolled territory between kingdoms and dragons. Potentially, you could go. I would say, if you really needed to, there's enough just from this one shot. We could make a 1 to 20 campaign just with those creatures alone.
Oh yes.
Because go in the cave system, talk to the Goblin Kings, go there. You're in, like, essentially the Underdark. The Underdark equals Mind Flayers, Beholders, this and that. And then we put in the little leprechaun different dimensional door in the middle of the warfield that everyone's trying to get. You got a lot of stuff going
on. It sounds like then, with this as inspiration, we can take the work then that we've done tonight, and tomorrow, your discussion I mean, I don't want to call them lectures because they are, but they're also not at the same time because they're entertaining and don't make you fall asleep in your desk. Um, why don't we stick with this as a premise or a concept for the story? And tomorrow we're going to be making some NPCs, correct? And you're going to discuss
Correct.
how to make your NPCs pop.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
hopefully not as in explode.
Yeah, but we'll go into more detail about both monsters and NPCs, about how to give them a lot more staying power, to give them a reason to be there. We're just in the thing that we can kind of allude to what we'll talk about tomorrow, but we're just talking goblins. We're just talking
Mm.
kobolds. Why does that matter to anybody? And that's where we can really push things through.
Well, it sounds like for at least for an NPC, we might want to make whatever the Goblin Escort was, if we're going to stick with that, for an interesting monster or an NPC, because sometimes they can be both. Um, we could just make a dragon head as a monster. I mean, we have like an adult an adult red dragon. Hang on, I have the book. Let me look it up. Let me see what an adult red dragon is bringing to the table here. Demons. Dun, 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 dun. That's, of course, if we want it to be red also. I mean, we could make it any color we want. Adult black. Blue.
But yeah, like we could do something like I don't believe the great red worm is super intelligent, but you technically can put levels into it, so it could be a mage red dragon.
An adult red dragon on its own is a challenge rating 17. So I can only imagine what a semi-sentient, possibly magic head, just the head of the dragon, could be.
And
But those will be bridges to cross when we come to monster creation.
oh yeah, maybe the head knows about the I forget what the it's not the Necronomicon, but it's the book that was written by Vecna. And maybe this dragon just happens to know a little bit about it and is part lich.
Oh.
Yeah. And that would explain a talking dragon head.
Welcome. Is that Finidon? Finidon lass? What if the dragon head is introduced to the scene, or what if a fake one? Oh, okay. So there's a real one, but someone kind of conjures up a fake, and now we have sort of a, again we come back to which is real. But you know what? The party could tell because the party saw the real one during its initial investigation. Thereby, by the way, if you ever introduce stuff like that in your story, it can validate things that might initially seem like, why'd we do this? It seems like a waste of time. Meanwhile, 10 sessions later, when they need to recall on their expertise because they've handled something before, they've met someone before, they've encountered something before, it can really make that interaction concrete and make them appreciate something that might have otherwise appeared trivial, but it came in really handy later. Finn works? Finn, well, welcome to the channel and thank you for your input.
Yeah, welcome. But yeah, I think there is it. I mean, yeah, I can keep on going, but I was just saying, finding little things like a Dracolich or a book that would make it so it's a talking undead dragon head. That's where you get the veteran players interested. Because when you're a DM that can actually use the tools that are inside of the book to narrate a story, that really works out well. So,
This has been an excellent planning session. Like, in reviewing everything that we've talked about and done, and of course now we've done this over the course of, about 4 hours, but that's with a lot of, talking, chat interaction. That's with a lot of, we took some breaks and whatever. If we just sat down with the original picture and we just looked at this and went through the 3 whys and put a little thought to it, we could have this compelling adventure, one shot and even beyond if our players liked it. We could probably pound this out in, what, an hour, 2 hours maybe?
I would even say less. I mean, we literally did a lot of the planning within probably about 45 minutes to an hour.
And so from here it would just be the details, right?
Yeah.
Finn says, and for sure, the theme of greed is going to be huge amongst NPCs. People will do anything for a scale necklace or jewelry made from pearly draconic bones. And you can make maybe maybe that was the first attempt here, was to make a tank out of the head on a wagon. And some people thought they were clever and didn't end up so well. But then again, there's also the mystery. And you know what? This is something the PCs might actually forget about. Maybe forget about soon. What happened? Right? We're so caught up in the adventure. Now we're wanted. We've inadvertently sparked an inter-tribal war between kobolds and goblins that threaten to suck in the neighboring human kingdoms for their allegiances. And after the one shot, or even a little bit into the adventure, all of a sudden, what if the PCs encounter the original party of some kind? Oh, well, that's right. We never answered that question because it's been such a, well, you know what, Technatron, the beauty of a one shot like that, setting that up as the initial thing, that could be a lot of foreshadowing and symbolism. Right? It's been a wagon ride from here on out. Well, it has been. It's been a fight from here on out. Well, it has been. All of the elements of the adventure have been presented in the very first part of it, and yet it wasn't heavy-handed. It wasn't obvious symbolism, but yet we can constantly draw back as a sort of a guide stone. So hopefully we don't go off the rails in a bad way, or go on rails in a bad way, as you're talking about the fine line there. But we can constantly draw back to the elements of the very first mission to keep us grounded and steady, and to answer all the questions that came up then.
Yeah. And like, the thing is yeah, that's kind of a perfect example of the hero's journey again, because once you get to the end, find out where the head's from and everything like that, the party is right back where it started to begin with.
Only now they're a little bit more powered up and might be able to be bigger movers and shakers in the world. Also, Finn, hey, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome. You're sitting down at a table in a game store, and we're having some fun table talk, some creative discussions. I appreciate and Finn, for you and others that found us tonight, whether you're lurking or you're active. I do want to express my appreciation, because it may not sound like a lot, but to get people to sort of actively explore new channels on Twitch can sometimes be, a bit of a hurdle. I don't know, is this person worth watching? Or I guess I'll give it a try. But then if your attention isn't captured in the first, different studies will show different timetables, but you get that first impression. Let alone trying to convince them to click into the channel. And if you stuck around, let alone getting a fabled follow or some chat activity, or dare I say a subscription. I'm not pressuring you into that. This is business talk.
Subscribe.
So I'm not, but Technatron is. And pardon me, by the way, I have a bit of a cold, so I'm kind of stuffy, and my throat's a little hoarse, so it's a pony. But I appreciate you taking the chance on us. You stuck around. You've followed. For those of you who've been lurking, you're lurking, and I appreciate all this level of interactivity, because I love meeting new people and I love hearing all of your ideas, especially during our workshops when I may present something, or in this case, we have Technatron, who's a guest in our channel, who broadcasts. He broadcasts himself too. Technatron, you're welcome to put a link to your own
Yeah.
Twitch channel.
Here's my handles.
But oh yeah. Please share your info. Um, but you all think so differently, and it's a chance for us to engage in conversation, to explore common interest, and we all do it. We all do it voluntarily, without anything seeming heavy-handed or contrived or saccharine. I've been looking around for a channel like this for a while. Chatting about D&D is always fun. Well, Pekalins, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. If not, correct me. We broadcast thematic workshops Wednesday through Saturday, and on Tuesdays, I get to practice what I preach when I run a D&D game with members of the community. And you can see what we do in our VODs. And beyond that, our workshops are uploaded to YouTube and our role-playing game. And the content that we create, most of the content we create, ends up on our Discord in a series of YouTube videos with direct links, as well as the documents that are generated. So if you really found inspiration and you're a member of the Discord, you don't have to subscribe or anything. You can join freely. You can just download the document and use it as a springboard for your own adventure. This is stuff that I want you all to be inspired. I want to encourage more people to step up and roleplay as a player or as a DM. I mean, I'm going to wait as a DM because we could always use more people running games, and it's not as scary as it sounds. But the more people who are involved in role-playing, I mean, it just does so much for so many people beyond entertainment. So I'm always pleased to see returning folks and to meet new ones who are coming by the store here. I mean, this is my online store, so to speak.
But I was just going to say how important a resource like this is, or other ones like it, just for the fact is you're in the mind of a DM with other DMs feeding off of one another. It's a very, very good incubator for anything that we could do. So, very useful tool and very great for everyone.